Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 Origin Continent based on novel. So let's start. Level 22 of the Abyss of Destruction. This level of the destruction world is all twisted and shattered, distorted into surging energy flows. Endless energy flows rotate around the peculiar cube known as Demon Ruins, sensing Luo Feng's presence from afar. He is here. Demon Ruins was incredibly expectant. He was born standing at the pinnacle of the endless primordial space, undying and indestructible. His close-range destructive power was considered the strongest. However, neither the ancestors nor the lords would foolishly engage him in close combat. His movement technique was weak, so his deterrence naturally fell short, occupying only the 22nd level of the Abyss of Destruction, far behind Shawju and Starlight. A figure traversed space-time to arrive. It was precisely Luo Feng. "You are here." Demon Ruins emitted waves of excitement. Luo Feng observed his surroundings, this level of the destruction world already shattered and twisted around Demon Ruins. This scene reminded Luo Feng of the fourth sculpture in the Mountain of Destruction, an existence formed by 125 smaller cubes similar to Demon Ruins, which was far stronger than Demon Ruins in its methods, formidable in both close and ranged attacks, completely overpowering the current Luo Feng. Demon Ruins has potential, hopeful to evolve to the form of the fourth sculpture. Luo Feng thought, currently, his techniques are still too simple. After all, since its conception and birth, Demon Ruins' strength hasn't significantly improved. "How should I cooperate with you?" Demon Ruins asked with enthusiasm. "Shall we go one-on-one, or have world envoys attack you together?" "Either is fine." Luo Feng replied with a smile. He bore hostility with the infinite snake ancestor, yet harbored no enmity with Demon Ruins. Against such solitary, undying, immensely powerful beings, no faction would make an enemy of Demon Ruins. "Ha ha ha, then let's go one-on-one first." The colossal cube of Demon Ruins unleashed terrifying waves, then roared and tore through the sky, carrying endless energy flows. This flight speed seemed incredibly fast, yet at the Lord and Ancestor level, it was considered a weak movement technique. The mighty ones like the infinite snake ancestor and Feather Emperor are capable of being everywhere. Luo Feng, utilizing the power of the Blood Crane territory, could also change positions bewilderingly within short distances. Even Wulan, the slowest among the 8 lords, was slightly faster than Demon Ruins. Don't dodge, don't dodge." The massive cube attacked, filled with anticipation. It loved going head-to-head. If Luo Feng dodged, the confrontation would be too uninteresting. Draped in a blood-red robe, Luo Feng indeed stood firm, without moving a single step. Looking across the entire infinite primordial space, there wasn't a single life form that could force him to dodge. Luo Feng was also very curious, exactly how strong was the so-called near-supreme level destructive power. Boom. Hum. Luo Feng was carefully sensing as the tip of that giant peculiar cube collided with his protective energy layer. The protective energy layer, supplied by 1.08 billion origin energies, formed through the mysteries of the primordial life and death Tao. Further empowered by the power of the Blood Crane territory, it possessed characteristics of immortal and shadow. SSSSS tilde tilde tilde, as the tip touched the protective energy layer, it caused a depression. The sharpest point easily penetrated the layer. Then it contacted the blood-red robe, also piercing it, and stabbed into Luo Feng's skin and bones. This? Truly marvelous. Although he had engaged the fourth sculpture in Mountain of Destruction before, that sculpture no longer needed to use such foolish techniques. Luo Feng hadn't experienced such a pure method. The tip of that peculiar cube. Its sharpness even surpassed the theoretical limits of the infinite primordial space. That point possesses an unthinkable destructive force. Just speaking of one point, its terrifying destructive power surpasses dozens of ancestors working together. But it also has a fatal flaw. This sharp point is smaller than the theories of the endless primordial space. One must know Luo Feng's body is immensely large, a third of the size of a normal source world. Moreover, his entire body has no critical points. Thus, even if this smallest point pierces obstacles, the damage to Luo Feng remains lightweight. Despite having the point of unbreakable, the damage area is too small. Luo Feng stood there, the tip of the peculiar cube stabbed in, the edges sharp beyond compare, the overall power extremely strong, forcibly embedding into part of Luo Feng's body, yet ultimately becoming completely stuck. The attack dealt minimal energy loss, which Luo Feng immediately recovered from in an instant. Daring to go head-to-head with me, Luo Feng, I like opponents like you. Demon Ruins was unbelievably excited. His goodwill towards Luo Feng quickly surged. He had once fought against the Starlight Lord, yet the Starlight Lord stood right in front of him, unreachable and unharmed. Nor would the Starlight Lord foolishly go head-to-head with him. Shawju transformed into endless flames, omnipresent, similarly avoiding head-to-head clashes. Luo Feng's strength was immensely powerful, and could go head-to-head. Naturally, Demon Ruins was pleased. I also like opponents like you. Luo Feng rapidly comprehended Demon Ruins' breaking point strike, that point, unbreakable. It was because it was extremely small. Its sharp point is not matter, but a rule. In a point beyond the theoretical limit, no matter or energy can exist independently. Only a rule can exist there, forming an extremely destructive point. The rules of this point are the incredibly vast extreme point and destruction, two rules mysteries interweaving together. Luo Feng's primordial blade path also pursued the destructive power where all things can be cut, but it fell far behind compared to Demon Ruins' natural gift. Here I come. Demon Ruins' voice roared through the heavens and earth. He crashed back and forth, clashing with Luo Feng time and again. Luo Feng, too, initiated confrontations repeatedly, rapidly familiarizing himself with the opponent's destructive techniques. Mine extreme point is unbreakable, but it is too small. Even if the enemy is destroyed at one point, the injury is very minor. In battle with Luo Feng, the more Demon Ruins felt its own powerlessness. Kafu once told me, he had seen a sculpture, and I could evolve toward that form. Split myself. Split into 125 of me. I've tried, once split, each sub-body would be very weak, my strength declining instead of rising. Demon Ruins also pondered the way of evolution. Yet even with Kafu's help, knowing there is such a direction. But he still did not understand how to evolve in that direction. How to become more powerful after evolution. I understand. Luo Feng, who had long mastered the power of breaking, had accumulated profound experience in the primordial blade path. After repeated confrontations with the Demon Ruins, he finally glimpsed the sharp aspect of the secret of destruction. The reason Demon Ruins possessed such destructive power was that it inherently contained power of extreme point, and power of destruction, making its power terrifying. And the power of extreme point also granted it the ability to be undying and immortal. It and the initial represent two extremes. However, for them to make any slight improvement is extremely difficult. Because their inherent power is already near perfect. What Luo Feng glimpsed was merely the mystery of destruction, and he couldn't grasp this innate technique of the Demon Ruins. After that glimpse, Luo Feng began experimenting with other techniques in the primordial blade path. The Demon Ruins, enjoying the battle, summoned 90 world envoys to jointly attack Luo Feng, yet even together they were still lacking. With Luo Feng's blade formation deployed, he could easily breach through those world envoys. Until suddenly, the Demon Ruins stopped, floating there as if in a daze. The world envoys continued their assault on Luo Feng according to previous orders. Seeing the opponent in a daze, Luo Feng did not disturb them. He took a step through space and time, breaking away from the world envoys and proceeding to the 23rd layer. This text is hosted at ovalfire.net. This confrontation was within the expectations of the various forces in the endless primordial space. The flaw of the demon ruins was obvious, and no one believed it could rival Luo Feng. The 23rd, 24th, and 25th layers of the Abyss of Destruction. These are the layers that neither Yuan, Ice Peak Ancestor, Endless Snake Ancestor, nor the demon ruins could conquer in the destruction world. Luo Feng traversed layer by layer, honing his blade technique, easily passing through these 3 layers to reach the 26th layer. This layer was where the Starlight Lord resided. Temporarily residing on the 26th layer, Luo Feng did not engage with Starlight, causing disappointment among many ancestors watching from afar. Land of Origin. Yuan, Jin, Wulan, Ming Huang, Nai Jiyu, Starlight, and Mo Man, the 7 of them gathered to meet Luo Feng. Luo Feng. Yuan smiled, "Do you need opponents now? There's no need for our sparring among lords to be known to the outside world." Starlight smiled, "The 7 of us will accompany you one by one." Jin looked at Luo Feng. "I want to see whose destruction path is stronger, yours or mine." The lords were well aware of each other's capabilities. They all knew Luo Feng became a lord through the primordial life and death Dao focused on life. Then, the easiest second path for Luo Feng at the primordial level must be the pathway focused on destruction. Among us 7, I became a lord the latest. Mo Man smiled, "Let me go first." Luo Feng smiled, "Thank you, everyone, I will not refuse." While roaming in the Abyss of Destruction, he hadn't confronted any lord in battle. Yet, in reality, lords mastered at least one primordial level Dao, making them the most masterful in combat skills. Thus, in the Land of Origin, Luo Feng and the 7 lords maintained only 10% energy reserve, competing one after another. These confrontations made Luo Feng feel the threat brought by each primordial Dao the others wielded. Though in terms of energy reserves, the others were far inferior to Luo Feng, the lords surpassed Luo Feng in their areas of expertise. These engagements tested the primordial blade path from various aspects. Luo Feng's understanding deepened significantly, and he became extremely clear on what kind of primordial blade path he desired. The 26th layer of the Abyss of Destruction. Luo Feng, sitting cross-legged, opened his eyes to see the distant Starlight Lord. "If you wish, you should be able to establish the primordial blade path, right?" Starlight Lord looked at Luo Feng. "Yes, I can establish the primordial blade path at any time." Luo Feng nodded in acknowledgement. During the battles with the 7 lords, he had an overwhelming urge to establish the primordial blade path. "But I have one more battle." Luo Feng looked towards the deeper Abyss of Destruction. "After the battle with Shawju, it will be the most suitable time to establish the primordial blade path." Starlight nodded in agreement with a smile. "I am setting off now," Luo Feng said, and with a step, he headed to the 27th layer. Shawju will be the last opponent in this training, also the one with the most terrifying destructive power and breaking power. And at this moment, the eyes of more than 200 ancestor-level and lord-level beings in the entire endless primordial space pierced through space and time, unwilling to miss this battle. The Abyss of Destruction, 27th layer. The ground was a colorful crystal, and upon this crystalline land, a woman in a grey robe stood. Winds that could obliterate a world-level primordial life blew, yet they could not move a hair on her head. Her gaze pierced through the obstacles of time and space, focusing on Luo Feng, who was on a higher layer. She had long awaited this battle. Swoosh! A man with black hair draped in a blood-colored robe finally descended to this layer of the destruction world. Luo Feng. Shawju smiled slightly, her smile possessing a strange allure. At this moment, various forces within the endless primordial space, including some very secretive existences, were watching this battle. Sister Shawju. Yuan watched, seeing Sister Shawju smile once more. Shawju was of a very reclusive nature, wholeheartedly pursuing the path of the strongest. Her smile was very rare, and in Yuan's memory, it had occurred only a limited number of times. Ever since the Cultivator Camp and the Ice Peak Camp drifted apart, he and Sister Shawju had rarely acted together. Among many ancestors, Shawju's destruction talent is the highest. Relying on two highest-level powers, she can exert such might, Starlight also marveled. Ice Peak Ancestor, Infinite Snake Ancestor, Kafu, Feather Emperor, Demon Ruins, and the like, all mastered the two highest-level powers, with a combination considered extremely strong. Even among them, there are those who mastered the mysterious land. But Shawju, among the ancestors, was uniquely powerful. In terms of destruction and damage, I am also a notch below her, said Starlight. He matched Shawju only through multifaceted methods. Sister Shawju is very pure, Yuan nodded. If we talk about who among this group of ancestors might understand the primordial level Tao, I think Sister Shawju has the most potential. Sister Shawju. The Ice Peak ancestor gazed from afar. Long ago, before he established the Ice Peak camp, his strength was far weaker than it is now. He and Sister Shawju once roamed the endless primordial space together, exploring some mysterious lands. Back then, Sister Shawju protected and cared for him. After the Ice Peak ancestor reached the undying and undying level, Shawju began to let go. Sister Shawju, I believe you will win, the Ice Peak ancestor said. Even though Luo Feng's talent is high, he is still not as strong as you. Sister Shawju had not lost since becoming invincible. Asterisk 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 asterisk. On the 27th layer of the Abyss of Destruction, on the Crystal Land, Luo Feng and Shawju looked at each other. I've waited for you for so long, Shawju smiled, her eyes full of battle intent. Luo Feng, give it your all. Shawju, you too, give it your all. Luo Feng's battle intent was equally fierce. He was already at the point where he could open up the primordial blade path at any moment. But Luo Feng still wanted to see what kind of strength the longest undefeated Shawju in the endless primordial space held. For Luo Feng, finding a suitable opponent at his current realm was rare. Shawju was a suitable opponent. Be careful now. As Shawju's words fell, her grey-robed figure naturally dissipated, transforming into an endless flame. This flame, in an instant, spread through this layer of the destruction world. The Crystal Land, as the matter of the 27th layer of the Abyss of Destruction, was extraordinary, yet under the pervasive flames, it melted into a colorful flowing liquid. More colorful mist rose, mingling within the flames. The flame was an ashen white, burning everything. Sizzle 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 tilde 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 tilde. Luo Feng stood there, his protective energy layer resisting the flame's invasion. He watched the land melt and flow, understanding that it had likely melted and solidified countless times before. Fire as the root, destruction as the fruit. A cold voice resonated in the endless flames. In the endless flames, a black flame coalesced. This black flame, the moment it appeared, was already burning on the surface, and inside Luo Feng's body simultaneously. In the blink of an eye, the endless flames throughout the destruction world transformed into black flames. These black flames surrounded Luo Feng, burning both inside and out. Ignoring all defense. Burning everywhere. Luo Feng felt his body consume about 1/10 of his energy reserve every breath, a shocking realization. This destructive capability was too terrifying. I knew it, Lord Luo Feng possesses the power of life. For this battle, I created the life-burning technique. Yet it still doesn't threaten Lord Luo Feng. A voice echoed through the heavens and earth. Next, I'll use my most confident killing move. I'll burn my true body to unleash my strongest strike. The cold voice echoed everywhere. Please. Luo Feng stood there, patient enough. He very much wanted to witness Shawju's strongest strike burning her true body. Buzz. In the void of the heavens and earth, flames enveloped Luo Feng. The black flames, already burning inside and outside Luo Feng's body, instantly converged. Origin Great Destruction. Luo Feng's expression changed. All the flames spreading throughout this layer of the destruction world instantly gathered inside Luo Feng's body. Luo Feng couldn't stop this process. This flame was formless and intangible, impossible to obstruct. When they all condensed inside Luo Feng instantaneously, something akin to the Origin Great Destruction explosion began. The most terrifying part of this explosion was the ultra-high power, at the point where all flame forces condensed, leveraging a certain rules mystery, initiating the self-destruction of the entire destruction world. It triggered the self-destruction of space-time. Triggered the self-destruction of all forces. Even Luo Feng's own physical body, his own power, was affected. Boom. Luo Feng delightedly felt the terrifying great destruction happening deep within his body. In his delight, Luo Feng urged his body to explode, making his energy momentarily spread throughout the entire layer of the destruction world. This is what I wanted to see, Luo Feng was immensely delighted. His primordial blade path revolves around the Great Destruction system as its core, striving for the same amount of energy to exert supreme might. Yet Shawju's bout utilized only about a tenth of Luo Feng's energy reserve, but its impression reached 7 to 8/10 or more of Luo Feng's Origin Great Destruction. The key was, her move was indefensible. It could directly erupt at the enemy's innermost core. In comparison, Luo Feng's Origin Great Destruction was far clumsier. Boom tilde tilde tilde. In this terrifying destruction, this layer of the destruction world transforms into endless energy flow. Yet these energy flows partially condense once again, forming the figure of Luo Feng. Still maintaining 70% of the energy reserve. And as time goes on, rapidly recovering. Your energy recovery is so fast. Even endless energy restores into the appearance of a grey-robed woman, Shawju, who looked at Luo Feng in amazement. She controlled this layer of destruction world to recover so quickly, but within the destruction world, my power flows endlessly. I can continuously use killer moves. As soon as the words fell. Boom. Luo Feng slightly sensed and voluntarily scattered his body. Boom. 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 This 27th layer of the destruction world erupts into great destruction repeatedly, each time an attack burning the true body, then the residual power utilizes the strength of the destruction world to execute another killer move. The continuous killer moves, ceaselessly, making this layer of destruction world seem like boiling water. Shawju, you can't do anything to me. Luo Feng's voice rang out through every part of the destruction world, your killer move unleashes at a single point. My body is scattered across the heavens and earth, you can only slightly injure me each time. You also take one move from me. This is a new killer move I've comprehended through venturing into the abyss of destruction. Luo Feng, amidst Shawju's incessant destruction, naturally understood the secret of destruction of Shawju's move due to his accumulation powerful enough to establish the destruction path. However, Shawju's move is a combination of flame power and power of destruction, and Luo Feng could only research the aspect of destruction, unable to emulate. But seeing Shawju's move also increased Luo Feng's insight into the Great Destruction system at the core of the Primordial Blade Path. Reaching this step, Luo Feng could no longer suppress it. An immensely profound insight, naturally in his heart, sketched the secret patterns, forming a complete Primordial Blade Path. Everything was as if naturally conceived. Swoosh! Luo Feng stood there, swinging the knife in his hand. This swing sent a shiver throughout the heart of Shawju, who was the embodiment of endless flame, seeing a stronger direction. This knife carried an unshakable will, and when it was swung, the 27th layer of this destruction world utterly cracked, even extending to crack the deeper 28th layer, and further into the 29th layer. This knife penetrated through 3 layers of the abyss of destruction. Swoosh! Even Shawju's intangible fiery figure was consumed, with 80% of the body erased in an instant, due to the severe damage to the 27th layer of the abyss of destruction, leaving momentary power shortages for Shawju's recovery. The broken 27th layer of source of destruction, the completely cracked 28th layer, the half-cracked 29th layer. So strong. Shawju's figure in the grey robe condensed, with a blazing look in her eyes. Too strong. In comparison to other ancestors, she was extraordinarily powerful. But compared to her, Luo Feng was extraordinary. Primordial Life and Death Tao, Primordial Blade Path. Just now, Luo Feng naturally combined 2 primordial level Daos, exerting a terrifyingly formidable knife without holding back. I lost. Shawju opened her mouth. She had lost, yet she was incredibly excited. She saw the way forward. It was justified that the mountain of destruction set the 7 layers of test, with Lord Luo Feng completely suppressing her. Luo Feng, your knife can be deemed the most terrifying blade throughout the endless primordial space. Shawju said, the entire cultivator camp will change because of you. Shawju also felt a bit complicated inside. She knew that the Ice Peak camp couldn't compare to the cultivator camp anymore. The Starlight Lord manipulated time and space, with impeccable strategy. Luo Feng was unopposable. Yuan Ging could perfectly combine all Lord powers. With these 3 present, the foundation of the cultivator camp was set. Unshakable. You're overrated. Luo Feng was still pondering the primordial blade path he just comprehended. Shawju looked at Luo Feng, hesitating a bit, then conveyed through mind transmission, Luo Feng, based on your destruction talent, you should have been to the mountain of destruction, right? Luo Feng looked at Shawju and nodded, yes. How many layers of test did you pass? Shawju inquired further via transmission. 3 layers, Luo Feng didn't keep it a secret. Shawju realized, indeed stronger than me. Shawju looked at Luo Feng, unable to suppress her eagerness, and transmitted. I want a destruction fruit. If you can give me a destruction fruit, I can promise to fully support your cultivator camp in the future. Luo Feng looked at Shawju, surprised. The destruction fruit is very precious. 1 fruit is equivalent to the empowerment of a regular mysterious land. But if Shawju aligns with the cultivator camp, it on one hand signifies a departure from the Ice Peak camp, and on the other hand, represents a significant increase in the strength of the cultivator camp, akin to adding a new lord. You can come find me anytime. Shawju transmitted. She is a lone traveler, with no deep attachment to the Ice Peak camp. She also grew weary of the Ice Peak camp disputes. Moreover, the Ice Peak ancestor she cared about is already undying, not needing her constant protection. She consumed 2 destruction fruits, and to acquire the 3rd destruction fruit, she was willing to stand with the cultivator camp. However, she wasn't sure if Luo Feng would agree. After all, a destruction fruit is too precious. I need to think about it carefully. Luo Feng replied. No rush. Shawju had patience. Would you like a world envoy to assist you in sparring? All right. Luo Feng smiled slightly. This video will end here.